to the Bullington Capital Report, hosted by Bill Bullington. For the next hour, you'll receive information on current market conditions and trends that could affect your financial future. If you have a question, you can participate in today's program by calling 216-901-0945. That's 216-901-0WHK. You can also reach Bill by going to his website, bullingtoncapital.com. And now, here's Bill Bullington.
Yes, that's Bullington Capital. Feeling kind of funny today. The nice and gray out there. Can't complain about yesterday, though. That was awesome. I actually was down at this park in Lakewood, and it was amazing. I haven't been there in a very long time, so I had a lot of fun. I was watching the sunset, and it is amazing that that's something like that's here in the Cleveland area. Now, Lakewood will probably get mad at me for all the people starting to flock in there to see that. But anyway, they built these things that you can sit on, like looks like the old what do they call that? I don't know, the thing where the Greeks used to perform. way back in the day. Anyway, they've got these stands that they built into the sides of the hills there, and these people come out and they gather and they watch the sun go down, and then they all start clapping when the sun goes down. It was pretty funny. So actually, it was really nice. So, and to think something like that is available in Cleveland, that's pretty wild. So anyway, I want to start off talking a little bit about we've got a seminar coming up, and this is going to be one of the Saturday mornings. You know, in the summer, I always do my seminars Saturday morning. And a couple of the topics that we're going to be talking about are going to be as my cell phone is ringing, we're going to be talking about tax avoidance. Tax avoidance through, how do you reduce your tax liabilities through investing? And I just met with one of the representatives of Russell. You may recognize them, Russell 1000 Index. Actually, it's older than the S&P 500 is. The returns are pretty similar because they're run pretty similarly. But Russell's actually the older of the two companies that provide a lot of research on indexing and money management, and they're really on the cutting edge. They advise or sub-advise somewhere around, I don't know, it's in the trillions of assets. So anyway, they've got a tax-efficient portfolio just brought to my attention. They were showing me some data on that. I thought, wow, that's actually pretty good. So I'm going to bring that material and talk about it, see where it might fit in. If you're looking at tax-efficient investing, that does help quite a bit, by the way. When you don't have to pay as much in taxes, you don't have to earn quite as much in returns, although the returns can be very good, even on a tax advantage basis. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about a product I've been using for a while now, actually several years. The company got bought out by Nationwide. Nationwide, the insurance company, bought this little company out because it was a little company. They only had a few billion in assets under management. And in the investment management world, that's not a huge organization. And this product is an investment-only annuity. It's significantly different than the other products that you're going to hear about. Investment only. That means is there's no sales charge to buy it, none whatsoever, and there's no contingent deferred sales charge. Now, when a lot of people describe an annuity, they say, "Oh, there are no sales charges." There are no upfront sales charges. Most of them have penalties if you take out money before a certain time period. If you go above 10% of what you've invested, this is not like that. This is truly no fee going in, no fee going out. Now, there are over 300 funds in there, from Vanguard, Fidelity, T. Rowe Price, you name it. I mean, it's all over the map. Short-term, fixed-term, every category you could possibly imagine is in that product. And the cool thing about that is when you make a change, if you wanted to do one of the rotational models in a taxable account, kind of like the ETF model that we run, you can do that, and you're not going to get a 1099. So that's the nice thing about an investment-only annuity You can make changes, and you can do that in some of the other annuities too. They just have a lot of expenses that this one doesn't have. I'm actually getting way ahead of myself here. Anyway, it's one of the lowest cost products that you can get, and we're going to be talking about that because that can really help you out, especially when you're starting to get to that point, like you're near 70 and you're going to have to start taking out required minimum distributions. If you have taxable money that you can then shelter from taxes, the money coming out of your IRAs, you might not have to pay quite as much in tax on. So that's really a good topic to take a look at to see where that might fit in. We also manage portfolios there as part of our practice, but you don't have to have us. I mean, you can actually go directly there, and I'll even show you how to do it. Go directly to the company and bypass us completely. But anyway, so I think it's a really good idea, particularly today, and particularly with the RMD requirements. We're doing, I don't know, probably 40 people a year now are actually at that point where they have to take those required minimum distributions. And so for September for us is it starts to get really busy because you have to do that. You have to get it done by December in doing all the calculations and all that stuff. It takes a lot of effort and some time. So we start doing that in September. So now's a really good time to be talking about this. How do you reduce your tax liabilities? And you can avoid taxes legally. You can't evade them. That's not legal. That's not good. So we're going to talk about those techniques. I'll also touch base on a couple of ideas on how to reduce the taxes on distributions from IRAs. There's not a whole lot you can do there. I'm going to be quite frank up front, but you don't want to miss the little one, and occasionally some of these things work out for you. So as always, there's no cost to attend. Seating is limited. We've already had people signing up, and I didn't even mention it, so that's kind of interesting. I think this is a really good time to be taking a look at this. Taxes have gone down for some people, others not so much. And everybody would like to, the more dollars you keep in your own account, the better off you are. That can be very controversial. And these topics, incidentally, they're not to be construed as tax advice. We can't do that. We're not allowed to do that. You can only get official tax advice from an official tax preparer. And financial planning schools are very adamant about that, and so is the government. So we're allowed to talk about it. I can show you some ideas, but to get very specific advice, this is something where we would literally talk with your CPA or whoever does your taxes to talk about what we're doing, why we're doing it, does it make sense or not, and just try to figure that out. So, but before you go and doing that, just learning the overall ideas, I think, really helps out a lot, because that way you can go in and have an intelligent conversation with who your tax preparer is. And I got to tell you, it's a pretty big deal. It can be. It can be a pretty big deal. So feel free to go to the website, sign up for that workshop. It's bullingtoncapital.com. You can call us also. If you don't have internet access, 330-664-0700. I'm going to give another laptop away. I know people probably think that's crazy. Why are you giving it? That's got to be really expensive. Well, it's actually not. The HP decided to discontinue one of the lines of their laptops, and it's not that expensive. But it's kind of fun. It's really fun to give it away because we take by the way, a guy by the name of Mr. Lindbergh was awarded the last computer, so congratulations. If you come to this seminar, we're going to do another drawing, and we're going to give another laptop away. These are HPs. They're 14 inches. They were actually less expensive than Chromebooks and come with Windows 10 instead of the Chromebook software. So it's really kind of cool. And again, that'll be at the next workshop. And I can't believe how low they discounted these prices to get rid of them. That was pretty funny. It's still a couple $100, but I think it's over a couple $100. But that's not a lot of money, especially for a fully functioning laptop with Windows 10 on it, made by HP. That's pretty cool. Now you won't be able to edit video. Well, you could, but it'll be slower if you try to edit video on something like that. So I'll just tell you that right off the bat. But if you're just getting on the internet, or if you got a kid or a grandkid, coming out, fill out your card. Well, this time we're going to do the drawing. I keep forgetting I've been doing the drawing in the office. This time we're going to do the drawing at the workshop. And I'll probably, yes, I will. Not probably, I will. I'm going to stop halfway through the talk and do it. So you guys can remind me. Anybody that comes out there, you can remind me. You said you were going to stop halfway through, and I will. And by the way, the last workshop was there. I brought my new laptop. It's not that new, but I hadn't used it at the center before, and they didn't have a connector that worked with the Apple product. So now they do have one, and that's really cool. Well, I have one. I bought every connector you could possibly get. So I'm going to be traveling with these. I'll be able to hook up to whatever equipment they have. That is really frustrating, by the way, when you're standing up in front of a group of people. You worked really hard on putting some of this information together, and it's visual, and then you can't put it up there because I don't care what you say. You can talk all you want, but a picture is literally worth 1,000 words. And if a picture is worth 1,000 words, how much is a video worth? Think about that for a second. Anyway, that reminds me of when my kids were young. I asked my youngest daughter, "Hey, McKenna, do you want to read this book?" She goes, "Nah, it's coming out in a movie, and the movie's just like the book, but only faster." And she was about 6 at the time. So anyway, that's another thing that we're working on here. Working hard, Bullington Capital, trying to get some videos out there to kind of explain the basics, just the basics on investing. One of the things that I'll always be talking about is patience with your process. The vast majority of people go around chasing performance. They go around, now look what's done the best over the past 1 or 2 years. And you know what? Actually, I have to take a quick phone call. I forgot to tell you. The number here is 216-901-0945. And you can call us, and I'm going to go right to the phones now with Victor. Victor, you have a question for us, or?
Yeah, good morning, Bill.
Hey.
Hey, I wanted to find out what you thought about GE stock.
What I think about GE? I think GE, for the longest time, has been really, really, really diversified in what they do for a business, or in their businesses. And I think that is incredibly difficult. At some point in time, the world changes so quickly that that's really hard to maintain a constant level of growth. So when you look at all the stuff that they did and still do, I mean, their businesses are all over the map. I mean, they make jet engines and locomotives. What do those have to do with each other? They're one of the bigger MRI manufacturers in the world. What does that have to do with those other two? So you've got these businesses that are really different. And by the way, highly competitive, because they're not the only producers in any one of the industries that they work in. So I just think that is really, really tough. In fact, Peter Lynch had a term for companies that did what GE has done over the years. He called it diversification. So GE is hard, man. That is not easy. When you look at all those businesses, I'm telling you, that is a bear. And one or two of those industries head south because some big change comes along. By the way, GE was one of the bigger semiconductor manufacturers as well. They are also very big in lighting. None of these businesses have anything to do with each other, or very little to do with each other. And that's just a tough task. Very few people have been as successful as GE had been doing that. And now, it's just, for me, it's just watching something repeat itself. Having said that, their revenue over the past 12 months, about $123 billion. The value of their stock, if you multiply the current share price by the number of shares they have outstanding, that's what the stock is selling for. It's $127 billion. So it's about 1 times. And that's right around where it should be, given all those lines. And maybe actually a lot of companies that are doing what GE does sell for less money than that. Their price to sales ratio is like 0.5, and GE is 1. So, it's I don't know what to think about it. Neither does anybody else, really, if they're being honest. You can't. There are too many different businesses that are so unrelated that your guess is as good as anybody's.
You think they're going to be able to maintain the dividend?
Nope. No, I really don't. I think a lot of the restructuring, they may reinstate it at its old level at some point in time. And I have to go back, but I'm pretty sure that they've already cut the dividend. And I'm not sure that that's represented in the trailing 12 months yield. So the forward yield, I'll have to look that up. But you can call me in the office and I can look it up for you. But
you think the upside is pretty limited, though?
Well, there's so much uncertainty there, and they are going to try to clean out some of the businesses that are dragging them down a little bit. The other tough part about GE is that GE's products require an enormous amount of investment. I mean, do you know how much it costs to have a facility to build a jet engine? That's unreal. The costs for that. The cost on building an MRI is huge. You look at that and the difference between a GE and a Procter & Gamble. Procter & Gamble makes Tides. I just use 2 of those little things that you put in your laundry right before I take off to come to the radio show. So it doesn't cost nearly as much money to make those as it does to make a jet engine, and the profit margin is like 3 times larger. It's amazing. Wow. Yeah, so that's the kind of stuff I look for if I'm looking for an individual stock and I really want to know something about the company. I look for a business that's pretty simple, where their costs are relatively low. And how do you know that? Well, you look at their profit margins. You can see right there. Mm-hmm. And GE's profit margin's not that high. And they've actually been dropping since the early 2000s when they split off the financial division and tried to, because there's a lot of money to be made in financial, but even that struggled because they have a big long-term care insurance. They were one of the bigger providers of that, and nobody's made money in that business.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got to take a commercial break here. Victor, thank you very much for calling. If you want to hang on and ask other questions, you can. If not, we'll just go to commercial break.
Okay, Bill. Thanks very much.
All right. Have a good weekend. Listen to Bill Bullington right here on 1420 The Answer. Stay tuned because I'll be right back.
There's a lot of things we face that seem to pull us down.
And we're back. You're listening to Bill Bullington right here on 1420 The Answer, here every Saturday morning from 11 to noon. And also available on The Fish as a podcast, 955thefish.com. That is pretty cool. And I'm going to go right to the phones now. I got Dan. And Dan, are we going to be...
Hey, good morning, Bill.
Hey, how you doing?
Real good. First thing, I'd like to thank you for all your information and consulting help over the years. We've been able to do quite well with you, and we decided to pull a little of that money, and we just came back from a nice trip in Las Vegas.
Oh, nice. So, that's cool.
Being able to enjoy some of the fruits of the labor there. Yeah. And it was really interesting. One quick interesting point on that. Las Vegas was more crowded now than I've seen in a long time. And it looks like Joe's six-pack is back out there pretty strong.
I'll tell you.
A lot of youngins coming back there. They were busy the whole week, which is normally a slow week because it's the week before Memorial Day. Right. But maybe it's just anecdotal, but it was more crowded now than I've seen in years. So, and they said they've been doing real well out there in Vegas. So people are taking advantage of it, and things must be going a lot better for a lot of people.
Yeah, yep. The economy is definitely improving, so that's a good thing.
Yes, it is. And the second point, I'd like to remind you, next Saturday, June 2nd, the Cleveland Grays Armory is going to have their Cornerstone celebration, and we're located down there at 1234 Bolivar. We are open to the public for tours of our building, and we will be having many displays for people to see, from the Federal Reserve to the USS Cod people. The USO will be there, and we're going to celebrate the fact that we have been in that castle-looking building on the corner of 14th and Bolivar for 125 years, even though we've been around as an organization in Cleveland for 181 years.
Wow. Yeah, that's...
So we are quite proud of our building and our organization, and we'd like to everybody come down and help celebrate with us.
Yeah.
And like I say, people can find more information at graysarmory.com, or you can hashtag it at Downtown Castle. And the only thing we ask the public coming down is we are going to be accepting items to send over for our deployed soldiers.
Okay.
So if anybody can bring something down that the troops could use, and we will be sending them off for them.
What kind of things do they desire the most?
Toiletries, homemade products, cookies. We can ship magazines, assorted magazines that the soldiers would like. Things like that. Things the everyday nuanced things that people look at, the magazines, the toiletry products, especially candies, food servers, real homemade cookies, regular cookies, anything perishable. That these are the kind of items they can't get while they're over and being deployed.
Right.
So those kind of items would be great. And also we'll be collecting socks for the homeless veterans of the city of Cleveland. So if people would like to bring that would be great. And we will be accepting flags for retirement. Old flags that are ripped and torn that people don't know what to do, and we will properly dispose of them. So we will be taking flags for retirement also. But we would like everybody to come down June 2nd. I'm sure you'll be stopping down there. And it starts at 12 o'clock, so people can listen to your show on the way down there. And, or after your show and come on down. So I appreciate you letting me put a little plug out for the Cleveland Grays.
Oh, no problem.
And so other than that, things have been going good.
Yep, that's awesome. Just so that the listeners know, in full disclosure, I've been a member of the Cleveland Grays for quite a few years now. So I really like the organization. It's it's a great organization. It truly is for a lot of different reasons, and we have a lot of mix of wonderful people being our members, and we're very proud of our members because many of them are quite distinguished, and all of them are actually. They are just true patriots, and it keeps up a good, strong Cleveland tradition. Like I said, we were founded in 1837, so we're 181 years old. So we're very proud of our organization. But we, once again, that's next week, June 2nd, 14th and Bolivar, 1234 Bolivar. They can get our hashtags Downtown Castle or in graysarmory.com, and I'll be looking forward to see you there next week. Right. That sounds good. I appreciate it.
I appreciate you letting me get a little plug in there for us, and we have been very proud to have you as a member, and we'll hope to see you next Saturday.
Yep, I'll see you there.
Okay, then, Bill. Thank you very much.
Yep, you too. Have a good week.
Yeah, okay. Bye-bye.
Bye. So, Cleveland Grays. And by the way, you can actually learn more about them. It's graysarmory.com online, and that's spelled GRAYSARMORY.com, Grays Armory. Really neat landmark. It's that building that looks like a castle. It's right on 1234 Bolivar. And I always wondered what that was. When I was young, my father was a small remodeling contractor, and we would travel through Cleveland all the time. And I saw that building, I don't know how old it was, probably 12. And I always wondered, what the heck is that? It looks like a castle. Anyway, that's the building that looks like a castle. If you ever want to go inside there, it's really nice. That you can actually rent the facility, and it's amazing what they do to the inside of that too, weddings and other events. But anyway, so 1234 Bolivar, graysarmory.com. I'd like to promote them, give them a shout out. And if you'd like to call today with a question regarding investing, that's okay. You can do that too. The number here is 216-901-0945. 216-901-0945. And we had talked a little bit about the tax avoidance workshop that's coming up. Mention that again. That's Saturday morning. That's at 8:30 in the morning, July 14th. The facility is the corporate college over on the east side. Pretty easy to get to. It'll be really easy to get to at that time in the morning. There'll be hardly anybody out there. So, if you feel free to register. One of the things I did want to mention, momentum comes in and out of favor at different times. The momentum models that we're running there, and they make everybody question it. Heck, I even question it at times. But the momentum with a more broadly diversified portfolio has worked pretty well, particularly lately. And if you look back over the past 15 or 20 years, it's actually always worked pretty well. Well, I shouldn't say that. Because it does have periods where it underperforms. All strategies have periods that are relatively long where they'll underperform a market cap weighted index. Sometimes they're years. But if the strategy itself makes sense, what do I mean by making sense? Well, if it relies on math instead of feelings, or if it relies on logic, you have a pretty good chance. There's never you can't guarantee anything in this business, and all I can guarantee you is that things are going to change in the future, and they will not repeat exactly the same way that they've repeated in the past. But when you look at the underlying reasons that you do something and they make common sense to you, then maybe you want to stick that out. Because I got to tell you, the rotational strategies using broadly diversified funds has done pretty well. I'm really surprised. There was a rough patch here, the 2 years prior to about a year ago. Okay, so the 2 years prior to a year ago, you just wish you'd never heard of that stuff. And everybody that had money in it, I have money in it, we're looking at it going, ugh, man, the S&P 500 is going up and we're not. Well, that's kicked around a little bit last 12 to 18 months. Those things have kicked back in and have been doing exceptionally well. And, so everybody can breathe a sigh of relief. If you don't know how to do this, you might want to come to that workshop, because it's one of the things that we're going to be talking about. I talked about the investment-only annuity. When you're going to do a rotational strategy like that, you want to have tax deferral, because when you buy and sell a fund, it generates taxes, or can generate taxes. Inside of an investment-only annuity, no taxes. Taxes are deferred until you actually start taking money out. That's kind of a big deal. That's what people like about a lot of these things. And there's a big difference between this one and other types of annuities. So if you have an annuity, you may want to call just to compare to see whether or not it makes sense for you. Some of them, if your penalty is too big, it may not make sense. But some people are paying 3, 4, up to 10 or 15% a year in fees that they're not aware of, because they're written in the 300th page of a 500-page prospectus that nobody ever reads before they invest in one of those. And that's really a tough thing. There are good products out there, and there are products that are just really so expensive that you're probably not going to make a lot of money in them. And one of the ways to kind of tell the difference between the two is if it sounds too good to be true, probably is. Well, actually, if it sounds too good to be true, it's probably really expensive, which means the chances of you making money are pretty remote. So you really got to be careful with that particular type of product, because there are some good ones out there and there are some that aren't so good. And again, we'll be on the 14th. We'll be talking about that. I'm going to be showing you one of the better products, I believe. It's one of the better in the industry as far as costs go, and the number of choices that you have to invest in, the things that you can do there. It's I'm really excited about it. We've been using it for a few years now. It's had a couple of periods where it had really good runs. And I will tell you, there was a period where it wasn't. It was lagging most funds, but since then it's kicked back in, caught up, and now is ahead of a lot of them. So again, you're never allowed to guarantee anything like that, but the logic between that is pretty sound. And basically, all momentum strategies are fairly sound as long as you stick to them and understand that what you're doing is more active, it's more aggressive. So you expect to have slightly higher volatility, but you can control the amount of volatility by limiting your exposure to the strategy, not avoiding it or not trying to time it up to get in when it's in favor and get out when that's impossible. You want to manage that risk, do a really good job of managing the risk, and we've got the options to be able to do that inside a tax-deferred vehicle, which is kind of nice. And instead of putting money into a non-deductible IRA, and a lot of people still do that, the IRAs, they get tax deferral, but they're limiting you to $6,000. When you do this inside of a product like this, there is no limitation. You can put as much money as you want in there. And when you go to start taking it out, you want to wait because this is they call it a non-qualified retirement plan. That means you're not able to deduct the contributions, but the plan still operates on a tax-deferred basis until you start to take the money out. So on your gains, if you were taking money out before you're 59 and a half, if you don't follow a very strict regimen on doing that, you can end up paying a penalty tax on a portion of what you were taking out. So these are all things you need to consider before you look into an investment like that. And we'll be talking about that at that workshop. I think it makes a lot of sense in a lot of situations, not for everybody. It doesn't. If you're 22 years old and you just graduated college, I don't know, because you have to leave it in until you're 59 and a half to avoid any and all tax penalties. The tax penalties are a lot smaller than they are on most IRAs. But if you're that young, I don't know, a little bit of money wouldn't hurt, but I wouldn't put a lot in there at that age just because things happen, like babies coming along and little college tuition goes up higher than you thought it would. So you have to start paying for that. All kinds of things. But in the right situation, I think it makes a lot of sense. It can reduce the amount of taxes that you're paying significantly. You can use whatever investment strategy you want that you can dream up. There's almost every fund you can imagine. Every category is accurately represented. And the technique I'm going to show you is the one that we use to manage money there. And it's also something that you could probably do in your 401k plans. The reason I say probably is because in the 401k plan, there's some restrictions there, and it depends on your plan. So, and it's something you might want to check before you sign up for the seminar is can you rebalance your portfolio once a quarter? If you can rebalance your portfolio once a quarter, what's a rebalance? That means I'm going to go in and let's say I decided to put 30% of my money in the guaranteed account or the fixed account in the 401k plan or the money market account, and I put a 35% in each of the other two. So I got 30% in the money market, and I've got 35% in two of the other funds. I'm going to do large cap growth and international. And every quarter, I'm going to come back in and rebalance that. What's a rebalance? It's just hitting a button on your 401k plan. And it'll bring it back to that level, the 30, 35, 35. Okay. And why is that important? Well, that's important because when stock prices go down, you'll actually be taking some money out of that safer category and adding to them when they are lower. When stock prices go up a lot, you'll be actually taking some money out of the more aggressive category and adding to your safe holdings. We'll talk about why that's important right after we come back from these messages. You're listening to Bill Bullington right here on 1420 The Answer. Stay tuned.
Again I have fallen, and my God, are you tired of me calling out? Oh God, for place.
And we're back. And I was just looking at one of the tax efficient portfolios that we'll be offering and talking about at the seminar. Kind of interesting. One of the things, by the way, that kind of needs more explanation, in my opinion, for the general public is when the big investment management firms talk about risk, they talk about standard deviation as if that's the end all be all. And I'm pretty sure most people don't understand what that is. I know they don't. And so they look at these numbers and they use the words risk and standard deviation interchangeably. And it's not telling the whole story. So that's one of the things that we're going to do. And I always do is I tell the whole story because if you were to invest that way and think that your risk is that number that they're talking about, you can only be down 10% or 8% or 15 or 16%, and then you're down 30. That's a little upsetting. So we have to understand that standard deviation and standard fluctuation is not risk. Okay? That just is that's a statistic that's actually not even all that useful. But we'll talk about why that is and a bunch of other things there too. And I got to go to the phone right now. If you'd like to call in, 216-901-0945. And I got Brian. Brian, you have a question?
Hey, Bill. How's it going?
Hey, how you doing?
Not bad, thanks. Hey, I just wanted to touch base. And that new model, I'm trying to figure out how to get that, into my portfolio, the one that's like the 30 stocks.
Right. Is
the value? Or,
is the money at folio?
Well, I would have to figure, I might do some new money, but I'm in the middle of trying to do one or maybe two flips right now, so I might not.
Yeah.
I might not be. But as far as, I might have to move it from
Yeah.
other, strategies maybe or something.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
is there a certain minimum you would recommend? I mean, I know it's 30 stocks, so theoretically with folio, I know it could be any amount, but.
Yeah. No, that could be any amount. That could be as little as $1,000. So.
Okay. I mean, I can always start with something smaller and just add to it, obviously, like any other strategy.
Yep. And I think it's a really good one. I like it a lot, mainly because of the logic behind it. When you're looking at the amount of operating income a company has, well, first of all, that assumes that they have operating income. when I talk, I will tell you 999 people out of 1,000, when you ask them, when they call in and ask about a company, they don't know what the company's operating income is. And let me give you a little definition of that. It's basically covering the basic costs of running your business before you start paying income taxes and before you start monkeying around with amortization and depreciation and a few other items.
Oh, like EBITDA? Or?
It's actually just EBIT, earnings before interest and taxes. And so if you ask most people whether or not the company had operating income, they don't know. I mean, they don't know. That's kind of an important thing. And I will tell you, the vast majority of people really don't know whether or not the company's had earnings, which is published all over the place. And I just think it's kind of interesting that they would decide to invest some money without knowing literally anything about the company other than what they heard as a rumor. And that's so anyway. So I look at General Electric, since the guy called in. The gross profit on theirs was their net income was negative last quarter, and I'm looking at their total operating expenses. Yeah, they did have operating income, which is good. The quarter before that, their operating income was minus $14 billion. So that wasn't too good. And to go from minus 14 to 2.8 billion, that's pretty good. At least that's an increase. But to see that kind of fluctuation, that's a little nuts. Yeah, and that just goes back to what we were talking about in the business. They're in a lot of different businesses, and there are a lot of moving parts. And to try to keep a handle on all those various businesses at the same time, that is a major league task. And when I say major league task, I mean it's like the Browns going undefeated for 10 years in a row. That's the major league task that they're up against. But anyway, I diverge. So that formula takes a look at their operating income and looks at the cost of buying the whole business, not just the stock. So because if you buy the whole business, you inherit the debt. You're going to have to pay that off. So you pay for the stock plus the debt, and you can take out any cash because the cash you would get back right away is cash. You own that then. So that's called enterprise value. And if you were to divide the operating income by the enterprise value, it gives you a yield. So now you can compare companies to one another and kind of see which ones make the most sense economically. If I were to, and by the way, I know there are always accountants and engineers that look at it, well, in this one particular situation, yeah, there are some exceptions to it, but this is a lot cleaner than using price to sales, a lot cleaner than using price to earnings. It's a lot cleaner than using the EBITDA. This is as clean as you can get.
But this would be considered a value strategy, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep, value. Okay. And boy, you couple that up with the momentum strategy, those two together, you're ready to rock and roll. I was going to just recommend those two strategies, just those two, and then a fixed income strategy to keep the volatility down. And that's what I was going to do right up until the Department of Labor decided to tell us we weren't allowed to do that.
Oh, so if I wanted to pull from the high dividend strategy, that would be the place to pull from probably, because it would be a similar.
Yes, that would be the best place.
Whatever the word I'm looking for is.
Yep, absolutely. That would be the best place.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Because in the other model, we named the model when the Department of Labor came out with all these rules about roughly 2 years ago. We named our model the Department of Labor model. So we went through all the categories that were recommended by Morningstar, government approved. We went and found the best risk-adjusted performers in each one. We tried to keep our eye on the costs as well. So we ranked them on risk-adjusted performance and cost, and then that's how we selected those funds. And there is a lot of overlap between that and the high dividend model. So the others, they're really a lot different. So if you're looking for better diversification, the BCAP 30, that's what we're calling it, that value model, and then our momentum model, there aren't any other models like that out on the marketplace. Those two are
but the
unique.
Bollington Capital equity model.
That is the Department of Labor model, yeah. That's,
that one. I mean, is that momentum
no.
too? Because you take the best one of each? Okay, it's not. Okay.
Yep. So, and if anybody's listening to that and wondering what the heck we're talking about, I would say, well, it's probably easier just to get on the phone and make a call or come in.
But what does that one consider? That's not value or growth, right? It's
Which one?
Different because you're just basically.
Oh, it's got everything in it.
Bollington Cap.
It doesn't.
Okay, because you're taking the best of each fund of each category.
Yeah, well, our definition of the best, yeah, and they're mostly value oriented, by the way.
Okay, the nine ones.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yep.
They're mostly valued too.
Right.
Okay.
All
mean,
right.
it's just hard. I mean, because I like all the strategies, but then obviously,
you have to pick. Yeah.
How many you do, or what?
Yeah. Well, that's the nice thing about
percentage of each one.
Yeah. At Folio, folios, you can do as many as you want. The reason we don't do all the money at Folio is because some people don't want or need all the strategies that we do, and it's 0.25% cheaper if we use Fidelity. So.
Oh, okay. That ETF one's actually doing pretty good lately.
Yeah.
The one that just has the 2 ETFs.
Right. Yep.
I noticed that one's actually outperforming right now. So, okay, great. Well, thanks so much for your help, Bill.
We were talking about a few different items. We talked a lot about a lot of different things today. And if you'd like to know more about anything that we've been talking about, you can just go to my website, bullingtoncapital.com. There's a contact page there. You can also contact us. Just call us 330-664-0700. Feel free to reach out an email. That's info@bullingtoncapital.com if you want to send us an email and respond. You've been listening to Bill Bullington. I'm here every Saturday morning from 11 to noon on 1420 The Answer. Have a good week, everybody. Good luck and good investing.
You just caught another edition of the Bullington Capital Report, broadcasting every Saturday at 11 a.m. on AM 1420 The Answer. If you have a question and you'd like to speak to Bill personally, you can call him at 330-664-0700. That's 330-664-0700. Or online at bullingtoncapital.com. That's bullingtoncapital.com.
Past performance may not be indicative of future results. Therefore, no current or prospective client should assume that the future performance of any specific investment strategy, including the investments and/or investment strategies recommended and/or purchased by advisor, or product made reference to directly or indirectly, will be profitable. Different types of investment involve varying degrees of risk, and there can be no assurance that any specific investment will either be suitable or profitable for a client's investment portfolio. No client or prospective client should assume that any information presented serves as the receipt of or substitute for personalized investment advice from the advisor or any other investment professional. The preceding program has been paid for by Bullington Capital Management, LLC.